Good morning, June 24th, 2011. Please do not watch this unless your world and your reality is on the brink of a new world order, because otherwise the information may be disturbing. But what we're going to talk about, we call this one Econ 1. We're going to talk about the wealth of people and the wealth of nations. And, well, I've drawn this up for you. It's called the Pyramid of Prosperity. And, well, of course, prosperity is something that's in our heads, and we must not lose sight of what prosperity is versus, well, all kinds of other variations. But here's the thing. Every individual or family could be represented this way. The number of people in it and the wealth they have, and they might have those wealths in, if they're wealthy, bonds and equities, and then real estate. But the average person most has his wealth in income or from his job, and he has his wealth, if he has invested capital, most often, particularly for a U.S. citizen, they have that invested in real estate. Now, the problem with this is, as you know, as this real estate is basically a big giant hole of debt, and, well, everybody has, even if you don't have real estate, you might have that debt hole. When your hole of debt starts rising, especially when you lose your job, your income goes away to service that debt. The debt becomes so big, or when the market crashes like it did, and the price of your houses are way less than, or the value of your houses are way less than the price of your mortgage. Well, you have allowed your debt to explode, and, well, you're basically bankrupt. Now, I'm not trying to tell you anything new if you're one of those people, but see, once you understand this on a micro scale at the family level, then you can start to understand it at the, well, let's just call it the national economic level. And so when you look at that, and okay, we've got in the United States the Federal Reserve Bank, and other people have their reserve banks. And here's how your economy works, basically. And that is that the bank sells treasuries or debt instruments, and that raises money, debt actually, and that goes into a big debt hole. You could actually look at this as the United States of America. See, we have these combinations of people with real estate equity and what have you, and then we have a big giant hole of national debt. And then we have people in jobs, and unfortunately, when the jobs are going down, our incomes are going down, and our ability to service that's going down. And the only thing we can do is tax to service the debt. And those taxes drag on the capital, and they drag on the income, and they reduce spending, and they cause a further deterioration in economic conditions. They don't produce jobs, and that's one of the big problems. And the other big problem is when you're looking at it at the banking scale. Well, see, the Federal Reserve can also just sort of print money, but if it just sort of prints money, the value of that money goes down, and it really doesn't affect the value of the assets. It just destroys the value of money, which has other kinds of consequences. But we're not going to go there right now. Here's the problem. We've gotten to an economy where the Reserve Bank is almost giving, they, by the way, lend massive amounts. All those mortgages, that money didn't come from those banks. That money came from the Federal Reserve, who loaned the money to the banks, and the banks only have a small portion of those mortgages. So actually, you see, the Federal Reserve is on the hook for the banks if it has a banking problem, and that's why they got all really disturbed about that crisis we had. And, well, a crisis is only a symptom of a longer-term problem. So anyway, you have these banks, and they basically own the mortgages and all those individual mortgages. Now, as they start collapsing, that puts pressure on their capital. But the point is this. 1% is what the banks are, they're almost getting money for free. And their mortgages and loan prices are lower than they ever been. But that can't spur people to buy housing when they can't afford it, because they don't have the jobs or the income, and their debt is declining. And on top of that, because the interest rates are so low, the banks can't give you 5% anymore on your CDs. They give you 1% or so on your CDs, 2% if you're lucky. And so now what happens is, when you're back to your pyramid of prosperity, the income that you're making on your capital is going down. And, well, and in a lot of people that are living on capital income are retired, so they don't have the income from the jobs to make up for it. and that gets to be a problem. So it just starts pyramiding, and basically we have this structure where our growing debt is harder service. Our declining jobs can't be created because there's no opportunity to invest in real estate in a market so saturated and overvalued as it was. And then, well, why take all those risks with your capital in a world like this? And then the obvious problem is, what's behind that Bank of the United States? And what it is in God we trust. Well, now, I'm not sure we've talked to God about what his agreement is for us in the United States when things go bad. But in God we trust is just a promise. And it's a promise as good as what we can do. And if our national pyramid of prosperity is collapsing, so does the promise behind our dollar. Now, it's not just about the dollar, because if the dollar goes, or if the euro goes, there goes more, and they'll hit the rubles, rupees, and ones. It hits everything. We're all in collapsing pyramids. And when we get to the next section, we'll talk about how we can create a new world order, a new global reserve bank with a new monetary system and a new enterprise to advance the enterprise of Earth. That will be the future secret. But basically, understand your pyramid of prosperity and how can we get out of this problem of debt without something new. The old taxing approach just runs out of gas. We can diminish the amount of government spending, but guess what? That's a great idea. There goes more jobs. Where do they come from in the future? We must find a way to pay capital income and gains to the people. We must find a way so that we can either create more jobs or create more income distributed to more people for our wealth, because only people with money spend money, and spending money and investing and building are the keys to a prosperous economic future. So the only thing that matters is real economic growth. But real economic growth is really the growth of real prosperity, which we will talk about in a future episode. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.